creative piece. Now, this is the student's creative piece or short story titled Shadows of the Hallways. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to take a look at her annotated creative piece so that we can check to see if she has successfully included her chosen language conventions. Now remember, I had stated in our very first video that when you write your creative piece, you must endeavor to include 2 language conventions and 2 examples of those specific conventions. Now I want to show you what that looks like in the annotated creative piece. Now this original creative piece appears immediately after the preface. Then you would have the language analysis, which we will come back to. Then you would have your conclusion, which we will come back to as well. Then the bibliography. Now we're at the appendix. The appendix shows the annotated creative piece. It's simply the same creative piece that was above, only in this version, it is highlighted. What is highlighted, you may ask? The language conventions that you selected and opted to place inside your creative piece. This is what an appendix, an annotated creative piece looks like. Different colors are highlighting, indicating the different conventions that she has included. Let's take a look and see what those colors mean. So, immediately we see a key. The key tells us which 2 conventions she is using. She is using language registers. She's focusing specifically on the intimate register and the formal register. She has also opted to use dialectal variation. So she's looking at the acrolect variety and the mesolect variety. Each variety has been assigned a color. So mesolect variety is dark blue, acrolect variety is light blue, the formal register is light yellow, the intimate register is neon yellow. So because she has created the key, I can simply now go directly to these sections to see if she has appropriate examples of the intimate register, the formal register, the acrolect variety, and the mesolect variety. So first, let's take a look and see if she has appropriate examples for intimate register and the formal register. So let's go and take a look at the neon yellow and the light yellow. So let's scroll to the tippity top. So neon yellow was meant to be the intimate register. So she says, by mommy. Now, mommy is an intimate register simply because it's a term of endearment and it is being used between persons who are close so much. This is a familial relationship, and intimate registers can only be used and are only appropriate between persons who are very close with each other, who are either in a relationship with each other, whether platonic or romantically involved with each other. So that is why you would use terms of endearment like nicknames and so on. These are categorized as intimate register. And so she does have a good example of the intimate register here. Now she says the light yellow was supposed to be the formal register. So let's scroll down and see if we have an appropriate example of the formal register. Okay, here it is. Yes, and as a result, she will be suspended for the next 3 days. Now the person who seems to be using the formal register is Principal Simmons. Let us take note of that for when we go to the language analysis, right? So she does have appropriate examples for the intimate register and the formal register. Now let us move on to the dialectal variety that she has opted to use. She said she was using dark blue for the mesolect and light blue for the acrylic. So let's take a look to see if she has appropriate examples. All right, let's start with the light blue and see if that is indeed the acrylic variety. Light blue. Working in a large international company, it was no surprise when Paulette got the call to return to her mother country for a year to help set up the company's Jamaican branch. All right, so she is utilizing this as the acrylic variety. Now, when we speak about acrylic, we talk about the more standard variety of the Jamaican Standard English, right? The variety that looks close to the Queen's English, right? And we do have it here. What you must note when you're doing a language analysis, and you know the analysis comes on a module too. Once you're doing a language analysis, you can take into consideration the author's voice, the narrator's voice, I should say. So you can identify the narrator's voice or the narrator's variety as one of the variety to analyze, right? So maybe that's what she's doing here. We will see when we go to her language analysis. So for all intents and purposes, this does follow the acrylic variety, but let us see if it was appropriate when we reach the analysis. Now, dark blue is meant to be mesolite, and we know that mesolite is a mixture of the standard variety, which is acrylic, and the purest form of Creole, which is the basilite. So a middle ground between the acrylic and the basilite would be the mesolite. And she did state that the dark blue would have been for the mesolite variety. So her sample is, or example is, who you think you laugh after, little girl? Hey gal, me would thump you up, right? So this is Creole, mesolite is still Creole, and so she has decided to use this variety. All right, so this is a good example of the mesolite variety. So she has successfully included the intimate register. She has a good example. Formal register, a good example. The acrylic variety, seemingly good so far. And the mesolite variety, which is indicated by the dark blue. Okay, now let us now take a look at the language analysis, which is very important, and this is why you needed to have included the language conventions so that you have something to analyze. Okay, but let's take a look at her story to let us see if her story subscribes to the conventions of what makes a good story a good story. She has a title. We also need to look if she has selected a point of view to tell the story from. Are we able to see the theme coming out? Are her characters developed? Does she make use of the narrative techniques to enhance her piece? Is there a conflict? And by extension, is the plot developed properly? All right, let's take a look. So I'm going to scroll slowly so that you can read this story on your own so that we can jump right into the analysis, which is extremely important for us at this point. In order to score 10 marks though, all the elements of the genre must be present. She must also take into consideration the incorporation of the language convention. She must also work the theme that she has selected, which is violence in schools. She must have that theme running throughout very strongly in her creative piece. And of course, it must be creative. So if it's boring, it's going to detract from the full marks. We don't want to read creative pieces that seems as if we're watching paint dry. You know, it means that it's very boring. So you want to lend some creativity and add some color to your creative piece. That's why it's called creative. All right, so we want to incorporate our narrative techniques. Now, this is what your annotated creative piece looks like. Thanks for watching another episode of Communication Studies Made Easy. Don't forget to turn your notification bells on so that you are notified each time I upload a new video. If you have any questions, please leave a comment in the comment section and I will respond to you as soon as I can.